We're on. Hey guys, it's Mo in the Deep End here with Salvador and possibly others that are going to be coming in because we are going to be watching Wild Bill testify.
Oh, yeah.
And I have heard that he is, in fact, the most normal person in this entire trial, which,
Would never have guessed.
having having watched this trial, it would not shock me anymore.
Nothing about this shocks you anymore.
The guy that came in with a freaking aviators on his face or on his necktie, I was like, "Are
That
you
was his
Don
tie.
Johnson? Are you Don Johnson? Is this Miami Vice? No. Then if the answer to both of these things are no, then you should wear at least a polo shirt."
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I have 2 different sets of wireless headsets, because I like to listen to my phone
Fancy.
when I'm doing stuff. I was just learning about how the Acolyte has been, canceled, according to Doomcock, who I
Oh.
love.
Bummer.
But yeah, that's how my day has gone. Oh,
Okay.
and I picked out new glasses, everyone.
Oh,
Now, was I smart and got a utilitarian pair, or did I get the one that glitters?
of course.
Look, he reminds me of Tiger King, so I found Tiger King, glitter rhinestone ears for tonight.
He's
Because I
innocent.
have heard that this is going to be good. I really you know, thank you. Oh, and guys, community people, if you go to my community tab, I downloaded, I put pictures up, y'all, of the, cabinety, dry erase board slash my tinfoil hat cabinet. I'm going to deck that out. I'm gonna rhinestone tinfoil hat cabinet. Y'all know it's gonna be mowed out as per usual.
Of
All
course.
right. Well, we will just go at normal speed, and I think David, I don't know who all is going to come in, so we'll just try to do that. If you are new to this stream and have decided that this is how you'd like to spend your evening, hello. Jamie's looking all hot and smexy.
Hey,
Are you going on a date tonight with Mr. Jamie?
I just got back from doing something, so.
Cool beans. So we are getting ready to start with
Junior.
Mr. Tiger King. I mean, not Mr. Tiger King.
Wish.com Tiger King.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, and I have heard that he is the most normal person in this trial. So I am all.
The little bits I've seen, because I didn't want to spoil it, but he comes across really good, at least on direct.
Well,
and it's easy to, but.
Yeah, my guess is that his lawyer is one of the types that's like, look, I ain't gonna lose because you're bad. So we're gonna work on this. It's the Lizard King. It really is. All right. Let's start. And I learned how to work the extension thingy, mabobber. So we are
right.
all.
That's the technical term.
I know. I am gonna be all of the things.
His eyes just go back and forth following that paper.
You know what? If I were him, I'd be like so stressed out. I'd be like, okay, don't hurl, don't hurl, don't hurl. Also, don't fart. Don't hurl and don't fart.
The lead investigator and Curtis Reeves did such an awful job on the investigation. When he went to trial 8 years later, he was so nervous that he told the prosecutor he had diarrhea for the last 2 days.
Oh my God.
And got chewed up on the stand.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, the Curtis Reeves defense attorneys found out from the prosecutors and.
Well,
sorry, that was Junior Ferns.
Oh, she is having her a hot flash. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Because it has to be all of 65 degrees in that courtroom. Yeah, no spoilers. Well, wait, did it go all? It went all the way back to the beginning because, of course, it did. Because it's a see you next Tuesday. Yeah, this woman who's like, I don't
being able to
remember.
determine if they were male or female that you saw?
Again, I'd object, Your Honor.
Heard. His statement
Yeah, but
was
she refused
written
to
when all
read
that
her daggone statement like a muppet.
She put the
She
same
was-
effort into
Testify or
conceiving
not?
her child.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it's your desire at this time to testify.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone else want to do additional voir dire, Mr. Zelenski?
Why?
No.
Oh, and I have David's
Um,
question or
We
discussion
need
point
to
that he
get
wanted
him
me to
into
remind
the
him
witness
of.
stand. Do we want to take a bit of a break or?
I don't think we'll need really much of a break.
Right.
I can inform the court that I anticipate Bill's testimony to take quite some time, and we may need to take a break at some point during his testimony.
Sure.
Got to talk about his lizards.
Well, I
I
mean,
love
are we?
I love how he just makes the bailiff his bitch.
Your Honor.
Well, I
You
think.
may vote.
Me.
Yeah, I don't know. It also seems like maybe, just a little bit of cardio might help this bailiff. So, look, I am not proud. Look, I do the elliptical once in a while.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Murph. He's totally guilty at first, but after watching this trial, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really strange. It doesn't seem like
Oh my God, they don't have the stand be ADA compatible.
well, no, the problem is he's a fall risk. I don't know why he's not wearing a hold belt.
Like, they don't have a wheelchair ramp.
Well, it's not
Yeah,
so
like,
much
right.
that. Well, yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
Look, I'm familiar with American Disability Act laws. If this courtroom, I don't know when it was built, but if it was built after like in the 90s or later, then it should really be much more accessible.
There's a lot of paneling. I'm gonna say late 80s.
Okay.
That is a hell of a lot of paneling. I mean, it's nice paneling.
I'm just
We
gonna
are
find it.
doing no spoilers, so I have no idea. I'm hoping good if he's nice.
With Crocs, you can kind of band their mouth, and so they can't open it.
I will.
Oh, Crocs. I thought you said cross.
In
And I was
my
like,
Oh,
I thought he was talking about the Croc shoes.
how does he? Oh, you were talking about Crocs, not like crocodiles. Okay.
no.
Okay.
Well-
Ignore what I said. Never mind.
One person.
He did not go into details, but he had a medical condition, and
Yeah.
I think it's something to do with his kidneys or something. He's got a bunch of water weight.
That would, I mean, I don't. Well, no, he was clean of all of the chemical stuff. So.
Well, I just know a lot about reptiles and other animals.
Well, they were Nile crocodiles. I mean, look, I'm sure there's a difference. Just like, look, y'all, my 11-year-old just got a butt ton of Godzilla and King Kong junk, and he is trying to explain to me why Mecha Godzilla would beat Mothra, and I'm
We
like,
need
sweetheart,
We need Archer to explain the difference between alligators and crocodiles.
I love him, Mo. I grew
So
up
I'm
on
like,
that stuff because my mom loved that Godzilla, so I know all about that.
alrighty, here's
Hey,
David. They
Mommy and
almost
Daddy are here.
dislocated his arm getting him up the stairs.
Yeah, they had to like
Oh.
drag him up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
I
thing
caught a
is,
little
if
bit of
you
it earlier. And can I say though, I like the way he speaks. No
Yes.
spoilers.
I have not heard him yet. I wanted it to be totally unspoilered.
For
Like,
you.
he
I'm not gonna say what
does
he
not
said, but
sound like he's in a trailer park.
no, he doesn't. He speaks very well.
Yeah,
Well,
I
this is
haven't
like the
watched
guy.
any of it either, Mo. I stayed away from it too.
That's like the guy that wore the aviators as a tie. I mean, he used words like occlude and, disinformation and all sorts of crap. And I was like, sir, you could have pulled out a polo shirt. We know you have one.
Well,
Probably says
Goodwill.
Bud Light, but just wear it, damn it.
No, he's married.
It's your good shirt. Why not?
Yeah, just wear your church t-shirt. I mean, he didn't even wear his church t-shirt. There was writing and everything.
I have like my good t-shirts that I wear for things.
Me too. All
Those are the
right.
ones you wear to court, Jamie?
Yeah.
Your good t-shirts?
My assaults. Yeah.
Thank you for going to court for me, by the way, today.
Will you cut it out, mister? First
live
of all,
in the
I
same
thought you
state?
said it was
Before we
male.
resume, I do want to just
Put it in
remind
the
everyone in the
old
audience that
audio.
this is a courtroom. I expect appropriate decorum.
Sir, we
Mr.
can't
Dress.
even get,
You may proceed.
can't even get you to get out of damn t-shirts, let alone
Yeah, you want
decorum.
going to
decorum,
officially
look at your
call
hat.
him. At this time, the defense would call Bill Zelenski.
Come on.
Oh, they
yeah.
put him on the stand before the jury came in, huh?
Yeah, 'cause
What
the jury is
Zelenski?
Do you solemnly swear the
dislocating his
testimony
arm
you
trying to
will
get him
provide
up
will
there.
be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
The courtroom isn't
Okay,
ADA
David,
compliant.
quick question, because I would be one of these assholes, but has anyone said, like, I'm an atheist, ha?
No, there have been some people, and in Michigan, you don't swear to God. You don't put your hand on the Bible. You just
Oh.
swear to tell the truth, and that invokes the perjury requirements.
Ah,
So,
But is it? I thought it was per courtroom, or is it different in every state? Because I've seen some court.
I have never seen a Bible nor swear to God in Michigan.
Okay. I've seen it in
so-
a few trials, and it's weird.
I don't.
you can swear in other ways. I know, I've learned all
just
of
swear.
them,
Yeah.
usually
No,
not under my breath.
So Michigan is something like, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
And you say, I do, and then that's it. That invokes the perjury.
What if you say
Oh,
no?
and then one question for you, David, before we start. Do courtrooms have dress codes?
Absolutely, they do. There's a court. I remember there's a court. My client showed up in blue jeans and a nice button down. And the court was absolutely, you do not show up in this courtroom in blue jeans. There were signs everywhere, like you go home and you change and you better not be late. And yeah, so for individuals, there are definitely decorum rules but that's for the particular judge. Now for attorneys, you must be in a suit, and you must have a jacket, you must have a tie, unless you get specific permission for some reason. Like one time I was practicing when I was a prosecutor. The courtroom lost AC, and the judge said, anyone wearing a jacket can take it off.
Okay, then how did we get lunch lady, the prosecutor? She's
guess
over
we-
here in,
Okay,
like,
so
some leggings.
here's a huge a little inside baseball here. There's a huge sort of like jealousy factor with women attorneys.
Taboo.
Because men, we have to wear a jacket and we have to wear a tie.
Mhm.
Well, what does a woman have to wear? Can she show up in just sort of a loose little, like a dress? Because that's appropriate, right? Just a dress. She doesn't need a jacket on. And she doesn't need a tie. So they can show up in like blouses and skirts, and we're stuck in these suits. And
David's
it's
wearing a
insider-
kilt.
There's been some attorneys that wear kilts. They usually have longer hair too. No judgment.
My cousin Vinny reference, in case anyone missed it.
But yeah, so when it's like today, right? So today I'm in a suit all day. You guys have seen
Yeah,
the
you
wonderful
are.
pictures on Discord. And it's hot out, and it's hot in the court, and you're inside the courtroom, and it's like stuffy. There's like 30,000 people inside the small little courtroom, and it's hot. And you see a woman walk in a little sundress, and you're like,
God damn it!
You
Yeah.
bitch.
I'd look so good.
I want to be able to wear a sundress, damn it.
David, fight for equality. Go get that sundress.
You can wear a sundress.
You
I don't
do
think
it.
they're femnital. I don't think there's any requirement, although it's probably a good idea for at least.
If I was going to wear a sundress, I wouldn't be doing it in one of the most conservative counties.
Well, yeah.
Do it in Ann
I mean,
Arbor, no problem. Get away with that.
Pick your battles.
Last name for the record.
Zelenski. SKI.
And it's okay if I call you Bill?
Yes.
Bill,
so.
on October 19th of 2020, what was your intent?
Especially when Dave wears them.
My intent was to find and return
what I
my
expected.
animal safely home.
Out of his voice.
Were you
Yeah, I
looking to
expected Dale
find
Gribble.
Riley?
No,
Were you looking to hurt Riley?
absolutely not.
Did you intend to shoot Riley that night?
No,
Did you intend to kill Riley that night?
absolutely not.
Did you want Riley to die?
You have to. Oh,
No.
Jeez.
oh, sweetie.
You need those.
Oh, wow. That is genuine.
Yeah, that's like when Kyle. Jamie, we're not gonna cry.
I'm getting all teary-eyed. Why?
I know. I'm like,
I hate
why
that.
is someone
You okay to
grilling?
continue?
Look, I'm
Smoke
Yes.
in my eye.
I'm empathic. I can
So
tell
before we get
usually when
to that
somebody's
night,
sincere or
I
not.
wanna
Like Amber Heard,
back
not
up quite
sincere.
a ways in your life.
But this has
You-
messed him up.
Have an interest in animals.
Yeah, just a
Yes.
little.
When did you first become interested in animals?
As early as I can remember, I always was very interested and enjoyed spending time with animals and nature.
Why?
My father took us on, nature walks and introduced us to the native animals, fish, birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, everything. And I just really enjoyed it.
Now, a lot's been said throughout this trial about snakes and lizards being.
I immediately
gross.
like this defendant.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I know.
I'm the exact opposite. I've actually
Suck it.
spent my life doing education programs and spending time with these animals, and I love them. I think they're
Aw.
fascinating.
Yes, Farrell. Absolutely.
Did you do anything with animals back in high school?
I did quite a bit.
What did you do?
I went to Wisconsin Herpetology Society meetings to learn all about them, and then I started collecting them, reproducing them, trading, buying, selling.
And did you do anything with a pet store in the area?
I did.
Nicholas.
I sold
Hey.
snakes that I produced. I
Nicholas is over here drinking booze. I'm drinking my meal replacement shake. I'm waiting for my booze. It is what it is.
First time on
Yeah.
the stream with you.
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
Hey. I'm having a day off tomorrow, if that wasn't obvious.
Eh.
Oh,
All
it's
right,
this guy with pencil hair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like this
we haven't-
defendant, Nicholas. Don't trash him. He's
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just.
No.
I almost
really
feel
do
like
like him, though.
slightly bad making him the cockroach from Muppets. I mean, not
I know.
enough
I
to
kind of
change
want to
the
redo the
thumbnail.
thumbnail I did for you yesterday. Now, no, I really like this guy. Like the first words out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Like this first 5 minutes of his testimony. That's all we've gotten into right now.
Yeah.
Instantly, I like him.
It's instantly like endeared you to
He's-
him.
Genuine. So, because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about him with all the hairdos and the hair.
Mm.
And if
Yeah.
he makes me cry, I'm going to be really pissed off, though.
had baby snakes, and I'd sell them on consignment through the pet store.
And what do you mean
Well,
by
for
consignment?
themselves.
I would take the offspring that I produced, and
Now.
they would put them on display and sell them. And so then when the animal sold, they would keep a percentage of the proceeds for themselves, and then they would give me the rest.
And you said you did that with the pet store?
Yeah, Have a Heart Pet Center in Racine.
Did you do anything else with the pet store?
Yeah, as soon as I was legally old enough to work there, they asked if I would be interested in employment because they could see how much I cared for the animals. And I did. I wanted to work there, so I started working at Have a Heart Pet Center.
And what was your job at the pet store?
I became the reptile department manager, and I was in charge of maintaining and caring for and displaying and selling all the reptiles and amphibians But I also helped out with all the other animals in the pet store as well.
It sounds like your focus was on the reptiles and amphibians.
Yes.
At some point, were you ever contacted by a zoo?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
The Milwaukee County Zoo was a large zoo close in the area, and somehow they had found out that I was interested and had an ability to find exotic reptiles and amphibians.
Is that on my end?
And they were looking for some European legless lizards.
Do what?
There's
It's
some
a little
background
laggy. Is
noise.
that on my end only? I'm trying to produce a video. And I think
Yeah. I'm hearing music.
it's like it's skipping and then it's fast forwarding. Is that me or is that
That
everyone?
may be me. I'm sorry.
The skipping might be
I didn't
you. Well, with me, it's perfect.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
David,
gonna jump
it's
off
you.
because I'm trying to produce a video of my. I know it's me. I'm gonna jump off. I'm trying to produce a video of my trial, and it's taking forever.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back though.
All right.
Oh, did Dr. G say anything? That piece of human.
Listen,
What-
y'all, I'm covering Dr. G tomorrow as
Okay.
church lady. Send me which one you want me to deal with. Look, I'm doing
Is
a
it better?
couple different church ladies videos tomorrow because the hair is a pain in my keister. Okay. So go on the community tab. Tell me who you want me to roast with him as the person. I'll also be doing reviews of Young Thug rap music and Melly rap music, but those will be only on Rumble because I can already see all the canceled, just with the music.
And I said, I can find some of those for you. And so I did. And they ended up purchasing them from me.
I'm working on it.
And
I'm kind of
Did
at my
that
limit of Amazon today. or
expand
this
to
month.
any other areas?
It did. I started working with other zoos and pet stores, other pet stores. And the more I did it, the more contacts I made and the more the word spread through the exotic animal industry that I was someone that did a good job. And so other zoos and stores and collectors would contact me.
And it sounds like this was, mainly snakes and lizards and some rare. Did you ever expand into more rare or exotic animals?
I did. As I got more experienced and more familiar, the more exotic and rare animals take more specific care requirements. They're not for beginners. And so I started getting into the hard.
What the shit is that judge's face? We're rolling the record back as per Daryl Brooks. I need y'all to see the side eye / this death stare
Animals?
cookie
I
monster.
did. As I got more experienced and more familiar, the more exotic and rare animals take more specific care requirements. They're not for beginners. And so I started getting into the harder to find, more
I am done and my hair
exotic
looks
and some of the
awesome.
more specialized, hard to keep
What is he writing?
animals.
Were any of those animals early on dangerous?
Not at first, but as I got more experienced, then yes, I moved into venomous snakes and lizards.
We heard some testimony in this trial about somebody calling the animals poisonous versus venomous. What's the difference?
Thank you.
That's a great question.
Oh my God.
Poisonous means if you ingest that, you are going to get sick or die. All amphibians, like frogs, are poisonous, like poison dart frogs. Snakes are not poisonous, they're venomous. And venom is something that needs to be injected, such as a fang of a snake.
Y'all, my brain just said, and his friends know a lot about injecting. But I'm a horrible person, so.
And that's the main difference.
So
I
it's
learned
poisonous
something new.
if I eat it. It's venomous if it tries to eat me and I die.
Yes, or it bites you in defensive. Yeah, correct.
And it sounds like you've been around animals for a really long time.
Yes.
And would you say you loved animals?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yes.
What did you love so much about them?
I just had such a deep respect for them, and they are very unique. Every animal has something about it that is special. Some people say I hate spiders, but I look at the way they are, and it's not like any other animal. Or a snake is unique, and there's beautiful colors, there's beautiful patterns, there's different ways that they move, the way they interact with their environment. It's just.
Listen, feral boys, if you are watching this stream, first of all, you shouldn't be. Second of all, we're still not getting a snake.
I had a snake once.
I can enjoy and appreciate all of God's creation.
Did these animals ever give you affection?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And how does a snake give you affection?
Well,
I
guess that's open for interpretation.
Does it bite you?
But a lot of the snakes and lizards, they'd I handled them and they'd curl up around my neck, and I could put a snake around my neck and it would just cuddle down in, or put it on my lap and it would sit there. And it might be just because it enjoyed the heat from my body, and they're cold-blooded and like the heat. But I tend to think that some of the ones I had for a long time could appreciate I was the one that took care of them.
And did you give them affection back?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I remember specifically I had some tortoises, and I'd scratch them on the top of their head because there's no way for them to reach. And they'd come over, and I'd scratch them on the top of their head, and they'd stick their neck out as far as they could to get a good scratch.
So kind of like what dogs sometimes do when you scratch them behind the ears?
Yeah. And I've got a little dog as well who does the same thing.
Judge, I promise
I wanna
it's not noticeable.
kind of focus more now.
Nobody sees it, Judge. It's invisible. Nobody
I don't
sees
think
it.
this judge likes the defendant. That's my gut, but I really like the defendant.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you can't not like him.
Well,
He
I
sounds
mean,
very. He's one.
he's very sincere.
Yeah, I have this notion. He's one of these not too bright, but not. He's one. He's blissfully unaware he's not bright, so he just enjoys his reptile.
But he's nice,
I don't
though.
You're talking about the judge? Because I agree.
No,
No.
the defendant. The judge can't even pick out the correct wig for his head. So no.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to the wallaby, which is why. Okay,
I mean,
would I want to be stuck in a small room listening to him talk about his critters? No. Do I think he's sympathetic? Yes.
Daddy, where's my hamster? Shut up, kid.
There were several hamsters. That man has a large head.
Oh, I just realized the time. Oh my god, I have my stream. Okay, I can stay for a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right.
I want to hear
back
more
to
of this. I did like sneak peek, but I like
some of the venomous reptiles. What kind of care do those types of animals need?
Indigo, same, but in my own voice.
Well, the first thing is they need a climate-controlled environment so the temperature and the humidity is appropriate because they're cold-blooded. And then they need to feel secure. So they need a hide box or something they can go into to have their own little home inside the enclosure. And
I can't imagine you went from ordinary snakes and stuff to the venomous type. What did you do to be able to be comfortable around them?
well, what I did is I talked to many other reptile keepers who had more experience and had kept venomous. And they told me exactly what special equipment I would need and how to set up an enclosure so it's secure. And the hide boxes would have little slide doors to be able to shut them. And then what I did is what was recommended, keep a very aggressive, not friendly bitey species of snake that's not venomous,
Bitey.
but it wants to bite you. And then use
The fact
this
that he says bitey makes me like him even more.
Bitey species, yeah.
That's like that is exactly akin to telling someone get a puppy before you have a baby because they're just alike. And you're like,
This
He's
is
awesome.
beautiful.
he's
I quit.
you know
I
what?
quit
I
now.
would say,
Good advice.
you know what? Innocent for me because I would say bitey too. I'd be like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crabby, kind of a butthole, kind of a snake hole, if you will. Phrasing, I know. I caught myself.
It sounds like it's a lot of work, Mads, to take care of these things. I wouldn't want that responsibility.
Insane.
I wouldn't want. I mean,
I have
well,
chickens, and I'm surprised they're still alive.
yeah. Well,
If I had chickens, I would also be surprised if they were alive. But that's not because of my handling. It's because I have a very hungry cat.
if I had chickens, they'd all be named Nugget, and I'd make them attack wiener dogs because I don't like wiener dogs.
Why?
Good luck,
Okay,
Wendy.
well,
Okay,
maybe
right. We can keep going.
because my butthole neighbors have them.
Oh.
Would you call the chicken coop MacD?
Look, y'all, I've already told Salvador this, but I have talked to my HOA. They will not allow me an ish barn, a she shed, or a see you next Tuesday corral. Any of the wording.
Well, that's because you live in a bad place. Don't ever get an HOA.
Look, I'm trying to secede from the union as we speak. I mean, the union of the HOA federal agent that's watching this.
Equipment on that snake and treat it as if it is venomous. And you're going to make a mistake or two and you're going to get bit. And then after you've done that for a long enough period of time that you don't get bit and you feel more comfortable handling those venomous snakes, then you could start out with a venomous snake.
Once you start with, it sounds sort of like a trainer snake.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard you mention you said they need special equipment to handle?
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of equipment?
There's snake hooks, snake tongs, forceps, leather, like welding gloves, and then enclosures that have special hides, and some of them have locks on them.
And I know it probably sounds obvious, but why do you need those special hooks and gloves?
Because you need to respect the strike zone of that snake. You're never going to free handle it and get yourself into a position where it could bite you. So the snake hooks, you can handle it and move it and put it from one enclosure to the other without actually touching it. And so you're a safe distance away. So you have to know how to maneuver those hooks because some of them are fairly squiggly and they don't want to stay on a hook.
He is never going to get into the snake handler's church if he doesn't hold them all by himself. Bye, Dave.
Oh.
Is your faith in God so little that you use a hook and welder gloves? Well, yes. But mostly my faith in the snake is less.
Now, about must have been some 30 years ago, I had a pet snake. It was a python, about 8 feet it grew to.
Nice.
But yeah, had him for 7 years. Him or her, I didn't check.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Great neck massages.
I had a female red-tailed boa. It was probably about 8 feet.
Oh, I had several female reptiles, but yeah, they are now ex-girlfriends.
I was about to say you dated all of them.
Nick.
Oh my gosh, that would be great. Look, the next animal I'm getting is named Aaron. It just is happening. Girl, boy, I don't care.
Yeah. Then you have venomous snakes, and then you have those pissed off venomous snakes that you don't even have to scare them. They will bite you just because you are there. So those you kind of want to get.
God wanted y'all to leave them the hell alone.
Well, I'm in Sweden, and the most venomous snake we have is roughly as venomous as dangerous as wasp.
Ah,
So
lucky.
we're good here.
All right, I'm wanting to like this guy, so come
So
on.
you got to know how to do it.
And you mentioned special enclosures.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
With a venomous snake, you have to take extra precautions to make sure that that
We
enclosure
could
is
do a TED
100%
talk about how to handle
sealed tight,
snakes.
unescapable. Because if a non-venomous one gets out, it's not good, but it's not as hazardous. If a venomous one gets out, that's a big problem.
And I think you mentioned earlier
Some things you
special
don't buy from the
climate.
discount bin,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
venomous snake
Some of the
stuff.
more rare reptiles, but all reptiles need a specific temperature and humidity. And some of them are very specific. So I would have a climate controlled rooms where the temperature in the room was say 80 degrees, which isn't comfortable for me, but that's what the animals need. And then some would have special heat lamps on the cage itself because that particular one needed an even higher temperature. And some needed more humidity, so they'd have a special substrate that holds the moisture. And then the desert ones would have one that did the opposite.
And what would these reptiles eat?
It depends on the reptiles, but most of the snakes and lizards would eat rodents, frozen thawed rodents.
Are those things you can just go buy at the store?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think that
confused
some of the
here.
pet stores like Petco might sell them, but I bought them direct from rodent breeders. Like there's multiple large companies that just
Okay, I guess it makes sense that there would be companies that supply.
Oh yeah.
I guess I just never thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, you could take it that way. You are from the land that everything wants to kill you though, so
Oh.
if we had a snake, it'd be generic mice.
sell rodents to people like me who raise reptiles.
And why would you buy them from a special company?
Because you need to know the food items are good, clean, safe food items. You can't just catch a mouse in the backyard and feed it to your snake because that mouse probably has parasites and diseases and it could have poison in it system. So you buy high quality rodents from a company that you know has a good, healthy rats and mice so the snake's healthy.
I just need to see the
Without
advertising
these
best dead
special
rats in town.
conditions or special tools, are there risks
This
involved
guy's
in
loving
having
talking about
these
this.
types of animals?
Oh my goodness, yes. A lot of risks.
He's waited this whole trial to
And to the
testify.
people.
You mentioned risks to
He's
the
like, just
animals.
ask me
What
about my
kinds of
animals.
risks would
I'll
it
be
be to
great.
the animals?
Well, if they don't have the proper temperatures, they'll get sick, a respiratory.
So, Nick, I will say, is this maybe a strategy, getting him used to talking on the stand with something that he is, comfortable with?
Yes.
So then when they get to the
Yeah. He
shooty
needs to be
part,
comfortable. He needs to be sympathetic to the jury and smiling and everything. So yes, this is good tactics to get him into a good mood.
And he is a
because-
former cop, so he should have experience
Oh.
as well. Yeah. Well, they get into it more, sorry.
Oh, he's a
well,
former.
no, that's,
okay.
I knew he was a former law enforcement officer. I just couldn't remember when in the timeline of his life that was.
Yeah.
Infection. If they don't have the proper humidity, they won't shed properly. The skin will get stuck on when they shed their eyes and cause problems. If they don't have a proper meal, they definitely get sick. There's lots of problems where they could get sick and die.
And you mentioned risks to others.
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of risks?
Well, with the venomous reptiles, if you don't know how to properly handle them, or if you don't have the proper equipment, it's a very, very high likelihood that you're going to get bit. And depending on which venomous animal it is, a bite could mean just a trip to the hospital, or it could mean death.
Were some of the venomous reptiles more venomous than others?
Absolutely. There's some that have a neurotoxic venom, some have a hemotoxic venom, some have small amounts of venom, some have large amounts of venom. So yeah, there's different levels of danger with what type of venom it is.
You use some words that I don't recall.
Neurotoxic venom attacks your central nervous system, and hemotoxic attacks and destroys flesh. And some have both.
And are some venom more deadly than other venom?
Yes. And a big factor is how much venom is delivered.
Nicholas, does your chair
Some
look
snakes
like that?
have very large venom glands.
Because that's my chair goal. The judge sitting on an aubergine throne of sweet Corinthian leather, I'm sure. While he spent 15 cents on his head warmer.
Yeah. Well, my new share holds up to 440 pounds. I bet that is more.
Well, I'm glad the taxpayers paid for that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want our judge to be uncomfortable.
I don't know. I think Bruce Schroeder's throne is still better.
Yeah. But might be more uncomfortable, but yeah.
True.
Like a gaboon viper, for example, has a big, huge triangle-shaped head, and that is because of those huge venom glands and their big fangs. And some, like say a copperhead, it doesn't, and it's a very small amount and not very potent venom.
You mentioned some of these risks would be to the handlers. Are there risks to other people?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. If you're putting a venomous snake in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to handle it, there's a real good chance that it's going to escape. First, the person trying to handle it will probably get bit. Then when they get bit, they're going to freak out and drop that snake. And then when that snake gets dropped, it's going to slither to wherever it goes next, and anyone in the area is at risk. Even if the handler doesn't get bit, they could not secure the cage properly, and it could get out, and then it's free to, be in the area that it could bite anybody.
And it sounds like a lot of these animals you mentioned aren't
maybe don't
native.
smile at that part.
Alpaca.
Yeah, none of them are native to alpaca.
And so it sounds like they might just go anywhere if they got out.
Yeah, definitely. They would, be lost in a world they're not familiar with, and they would probably try to find somewhere to hide, but yeah, they could go anywhere.
And when you were telling me about this, I was surprised, but do you need a permit in Wisconsin to do all these animals and raising these animals?
For the exotic reptiles statewide, no, you don't. A lot of municipalities have ordinances that regulate them. But in the state, there's not a license for keeping anything except the native species. Anything native to the state, the DNR regulates, but the exotics, they don't.
And so no permit, any special licensing or anything else special you might need?
Well, for a lot of the animals I did, I had special permits. Like I have a USDA license for the mammals, and I have Wisconsin DNR captive wildlife permits for some of the native species. And I've got a special conditional use permit from zoning. So I had special permits and licenses for a lot of the animals I had, but not specifically the reptiles.
So like an alligator, you don't need a special permit to have an alligator?
No, you don't.
So any of us in the courtroom right now.
John, Gary, I've already had to give up on blood evidence, ballistic evidence. I am believing Corinthian leather is still a thing. Because it sounds like just the kind of douchey plus or upgrade that this judge would do. We'll make it Corinthian leather for $20 more. He's like, yes, ma'am, I need that. Taxpayers paying for it. It's a position of power.
could go get an alligator.
Yes, you could. I mean, unless your jurisdiction within your, small jurisdiction had an
No, my
ordinance
HOA
against
doesn't
it.
say anything
sure
about
could.
crocodiles.
Do you think that would be a good idea?
I'm sensing a little-
Unless you're set up for it and know how to take care of a large, dangerous animal in the future, I would not recommend it. No, not a good idea.
So you talked a lot about the risks associated with these animals. Because of those risks, did you keep these animals anywhere special?
I did. I had a steel building with special rooms that were built specifically with these animals in mind. So there was a room that I had constructed specifically with the intention of having these reptiles, and I had some enclosures built into the room.
And where was this shed?
I was at the end of my driveway. We have a very long driveway off the road, and then past my house, it dead ends, and there's a shed at the end of the driveway.
Your house on East Road?
That's correct, yes.
You also, we heard a lot of testimony about having a property over on Main Street in the city.
Yes, 111 North Main Street.
And what was the purpose of that property?
We purchased it as an investment property because I was hoping to open an exotic pet store where I would sell the, harder to find, I guess people call them weird, animals that you don't normally see in a run-of-the-mill pet store. And I was also planning to sell artwork of exotic animals.
Did you keep any animals?
That artwork is
I
not.
did. I started moving some of the animals over for display.
What kind of animals did you keep there?
I had some turtles and a couple snakes. Maybe a frog or two.
Did you bring any of the venomous animals?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Why not?
They're just not suited for in the city. In the city limits, it wouldn't be appropriate.
Well, I mean, he's already smarter than Tiger King. I sense a TLC program coming soon.
Why would it be more appropriate to keep them on East Road?
Out on East Road, you have to go through multiple doors to get into the building, into the room where they're kept, and it's away from the general public. You can't even see it from the road, and it's purposely private and away from people.
Have you ever had any animals escape?
Yes, I have.
What kinds of animals have escaped?
We've had wallabies that have gotten loose, emus that have jumped over a fence and were running loose. We had a cow break through a fence one time.
You said wallabies, I think emus, cows, not venomous.
No, never venomous.
No venomous animals ever escaped?
No. I've been working with like a cobra out in the parking lot, and it scurries off for 5-10 feet, and then I go get the hook and scoop it right back up, but never out of my sight missing.
And
Sir, that sentence, that
is that
last
one of the
sentence,
reasons you kept
redact.
them there in case they did
It done
escape?
never happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a chunk of land that we own to make sure that if they were to escape, they wouldn't be right in the midst of a bunch of people.
At some point in your life, Bill, were you interested in law enforcement?
Yes, I was.
How?
I wanted to be possibly a game warden or a park ranger and work in the natural resources field as a law enforcement officer.
And why did you want to do that?
Because I cared so much about the animals and the natural resources and nature, and I wanted to make sure I could protect it and keep it safe.
keep the nature and animals safe.
Well, and people who were out enjoying nature safe also. You have to protect the resource from the people, and the people, there's,
judge having a
some
stroke?
danger in nature too.
And in pursuit of that, did you go on to more education?
I did. I went to school at University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point for my bachelor's degree in urban forestry, forest recreation, with minors in biology and environmental law enforcement.
And what did that all entail?
I went to courses for 5 years, and I learned all about forestry, trees. There's a lot of science behind it. I learned about biology, general courses, and then specifically for the environmental law enforcement, part of that was going to Fox Valley Technical College in Appleton for the 400-hour recruit academy.
The 400-hour recruiting academy, I know we heard some testimony in this trial about that's required to be like a sworn law enforcement officer.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you attended that?
I did. I had not been hired yet by an agency, but I knew that was my goal, so I attended it and put myself through the academy that all law enforcement officers had to complete at the time to work as a sworn officer.
And we heard some testimony that over the years they've increased how long that course is. And when you attended, it was 400 hours?
It was 400 hours. When I attended, I believe I graduated the class of 1999.
Okay. And how long or approximately does it take to complete that 400 hours? A couple of months?
Yeah, it was a summer course. I went the entire summer.
And did you ultimately graduate from UW-Stevens Point?
I did, yes.
And did you complete the...
Hey, you there?
Hello.
Is that me or Mo?
Mo is frozen.
Oh, give her a
The
sec.
stream is ours. Woo!
Fox Valley Technical College training program?
Sure.
There she
What
is.
did that all entail? What sort of training did you receive?
There was quite a few different courses, chapters or fields. We'd start out with some bookwork, the legal law, statutes, criminal code, and we do
Not
hands-on
lawful
trading
law,
like
but legal
DAT or
law?
defensive and arrest tactics, where we would learn how to defend ourselves and arrest people and deal with physical altercations. We had
What other topics would you learn about?
there was firearms, there was EVOC, which is driving, criminal investigation, evidence collection, ethics.
Typical. He
quite a
trains
few
to be a
different
cop
courses.
and then he goes out and
Did
shoots
you
somebody.
receive training with one of the courses in responding to emergencies?
Yes, it was.
I
Allegedly.
want to talk a little bit. You said DAT.
Mm-hmm.
What is DAT?
It stands for defensive and arrest tactics.
Okay. And what did you learn in defense and arrest tactics?
It's quite a long time ago, but from what I remember, we would, how to deal with a suspect that may or may not be armed, and if it was someone that could potentially have a knife, they would give us a red rubber knife, and the suspect would have it hidden and presented at some point, and we'd have courses on how to defend ourselves if we had to go hands-on. And we'd have courses on how to arrest someone, put handcuffs on the person, things like that.
In that sort of chapter, was there anything about trying to subdue potential suspects?
Yes. Basically, if there's going to be a physical altercation, you want to make sure that you go home at the end of the day. So you'd have to subdue the suspect. And so they taught us physically how to do that, yes.
And you mentioned they would give you a red rubber knife and hide it on someone. Did you do that in like pairs with other people?
Yes, that's correct. We would have a a
You
partner
learn how
that we
to
would
hide weapon on
practice.
people. Okay.
Well, also, if it was just himself, that's Sarah Boone hide and seek. You already
yeah.
know where you
The-
put it.
When did they teach out how to sprinkle crack on some?
Well, I hope he is getting this defense attorney seems pretty smart, so I'm hoping he's getting this out of the way to explain, yes, he had police training, but it was 20 damn years ago.
I think
You
what he's
know.
saying is he had police training, and that's why he didn't call the police, because he knew how to handle himself.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
If I'm a prosecutor, I'm
Okay.
like, he knows how to de-escalate. He should have, winged him in the leg, as most people who've never dealt
Fired
with
him.
weapons would
Yeah.
say.
That's true.
So maybe he's getting out ahead of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like a typical John, he got a head out of it. Cheers.
Practice some of the moves and things with, and we'd have scenarios that we'd go through.
You mentioned another area was EVOC.
Yes.
And what's EVOC stand for?
That's the driving. We in the squad car, we'd actually go out onto the course outside and have the vehicles that we would use.
And did it
Stop
teach
that.
you about all the stuff inside a squad car?
Yes, it did.
It looks like there's a lot of stuff inside squad cars.
That's correct.
What sorts of things did they teach you about how to use?
We were taught about the lights, the sirens, the radios. Now there's more and more stuff, computers.
Did you learn anything about is there a radio system you mentioned?
Yes, correct. That's a very important part. There's a radio system where you can call on the radio to other officers and to dispatch.
So not an AM FM radio, but actually radioing to dispatch.
Correct.
And what's so important about that?
You have to communicate all the time with dispatch so they know where you are and what's happening. And they'll do status checks on you to make sure they are updated frequently.
And so you learned some of this, just people telling you about it. Did you actually get to practice some things in the driving?
Absolutely. We did mostly that, where we would have, mock high-speed chases where we would be in the pursuit vehicle and then an instructor would be in the suspect vehicle. And we'd also have an instructor with us in the pursuit vehicle, and we would have to demonstrate our ability to act as a police officer and chase the suspect the entire time, calling out on the radio to dispatch. Every turn we made and every time we changed directions or whatnot, we would have to radio that into dispatch. That was part of the training.
Did they tell you why that was so important?
Yeah, definitely. They did, because if dispatch doesn't know where you are and you call for help, they don't even know where to send the help to. Say you crash, or say the suspect gets out of the vehicle and comes to you. They don't know where you are unless you're constantly giving them an update on your location. So that's why it's so important. And then if there's other officers in the area responding, they need to know where to go.
And when they had you do this, did they have, you mentioned a fake suspect that you're chasing after, other potential traffic that you had to maneuver around?
Yes, there was a lot of training on maneuvering the vehicle properly too. They would also set up cones in different positions, and at the last minute, they tell you if you had to go right or left to evade a obstacle in the road. And so you'd have to do very quick maneuvers, split-second decisions, and then to control a vehicle, there's also a skid pad where it's purposely slick and easy to lose control, and you have to maintain control on the slick or regain control on the slick surface.
And you mentioned another area, this 400 law enforcement recruitment training was firearms.
Yes, that's correct.
What did you learn under that chapter or topic?
Everything from the different parts of the gun, how to clean the gun, disassemble the gun, how to hold the gun properly, how to fire the gun, how to holster the gun, take it out of the holster, how to aim, fire the gun, reload the gun.
And did that include classroom and hands-on training as well?
That's correct, yes.
What sort of hands-on training did you learn?
Quite a bit. We'd actually have the guns that we would take apart, identify all the parts, clean them. We would practice gripping them, aiming them, drawing them. And then once we were more familiar with that, handling them, we would start to actually aim and shoot them. And then as we got better at that, shooting them, we would learn how to very quickly take the magazine out and put another magazine in. If the gun got jammed, which if you shoot enough rounds, eventually it's going to, we'd have to learn how to clear that jam and then continue firing.
You mentioned you learned how to and maybe when to draw a firearm.
That's correct, yes.
And what special things did you learn in how or when to draw a firearm?
How to draw the firearm, you want to make sure that you have a good solid grip, and you want to make sure that you're coming straight up out of the holster and out of the angle so it doesn't get stuck. And when to draw the firearm is when you perceive a threat or there's a threat that is, potentially hazardous enough that you're going to need it.
We heard some testimony from an officer previously about something called a low ready position. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
And can you describe what you remember learning about low ready position?
It's when you draw your service weapon out of the holster and have it in your hand, but not aimed at anything like a suspect, so you keep it down, but ready.
And when would you need to do that?
When you have a possible threat in the area, but not a target that you're planning on needing to use the firearm, but in the foreseeable future, you're going to need it more ready than still in the holster.
So did they teach you about having your firearm ready before you might need it?
Exactly, yes.
And why is that so important?
Because if you need it and it's still in the holster and you're fumbling around trying to get it out, by the time you do, it's going to be too late. And one thing I really remember is they taught us about what you would normally think a safe distance for someone to be would be. Say someone was 5 feet away. Is that a safe distance? 10 feet away, 15 feet away. What if they had a knife? What if they had a gun? I learned, and I was really surprised by this, that
30.
The suspect can close that gap so much faster than you would normally think, that you have to be.
Okay, well, he's explaining a good deal what he's doing, and he's taking away the whole Binger argument this morning that, well, Riley wasn't even armed.
They used to train, I think, 21 feet distance, especially if somebody has a knife, but they can close it before you can fire. But
Yeah.
more modern techniques are even like 30 feet.
Well, but he is giving the training reason why he had the weapon
Sure.
at low ready and it's shown, you can watch the video and see it's at low ready with the flashlight on it. He's also explaining how, with backstory, you know that 2 of his firearms were stolen out of his car from a lockbox that
Yeah.
only this would know about. So he's already middling methed up, which, Nicholas, I didn't know that middling methed up was even quantitative.
Neither
what
was
the
I.
well, the medical examiner was like, "Look, he didn't take enough to kill him. It wasn't a negligible amount, so it was kind of like a maintenance dose, if you will." I don't
Okay. Well,
Look,
I didn't see it, so yeah.
yeah, it was. So, yeah, this is definitely giving a lot of information. If I'm the jury, this is the only person I've really listened to, if I'm gonna be honest with you. The other ones either came from jail, had, sunglasses as their tie, or were beige, so very beige. The wife and girlfriend were both beige. I mean, maybe he just really likes beige. Although he does let his lizards and animals sit on him, so maybe there's a certain type of woman that enjoys all of that.
Ready, way before a normal person would think. And so you want to have that ready before the threat is even close or even present. Just the thought that there might be a threat. I know, for one instance, if you're going up a narrow stairwell to a call where there might be a violent suspect, you're going to want to have your firearm out while you're going up that narrow stairwell, even before you see the suspect, because they could just pop out at any moment.
You mentioned learning how to properly grip a firearm.
Yes.
And why is a grip so important?
For a number of reasons. Number one, you want to have a good, solid, strong grip.
Also,
So you're in control of that firearm. You want it high on the tang, and that means high up on the grip.
I was going to say high on the tang. I don't think anyone might know what that means.
You want it snug up against what's called a tang, so it's a solid grip, because if it's a very loose, floppy grip, number one, the firearm's not being controlled. It could be taken away, and number two, it has more a likelihood to misfire and get jammed. Yeah. And you can't aim it as well.
Accidental discharge.
And what sort of firearms were you training in specifically?
Mostly we used a 9mm semi-automatic pistol.
Is that a fairly common firearm?
Yes.
9mm, pretty common?
At the time, that was the standard. Now they've moved up to a larger caliber for service weapons, but 9mm is a very common round.
Another chapter that you mentioned was about investigating crimes.
Yes.
And tell me about that. What did that entail?
We learned through scenarios, again, how to follow leads, collect evidence, interview possible suspects, how to ask questions and what questions to ask. Also how to look at physical evidence, such as a broken window to see if it was broken in or out, collect fingerprints, take photographs.
You mentioned speaking with potential suspects. What about speaking with potential witnesses?
Yes, definitely.
And why is that so important?
That's very important, because if you can find witnesses, especially right immediately after some incident took place, they can provide lots of.
Sir, the word is especially, not especially. Don't make me start not liking you.
information. And if you can get to those witnesses soon and while the memories are fresh, they can be documented. And the more witnesses you can find, the better.
So the more people you're able to speak to, better chances of somebody giving you useful information.
Exactly.
Just let me interrupt for a second. Council vote.
What is the judge pissed off about now?
Maybe he's
He's like,
trying to figure out when to break.
man, I just had like 12 steaks and 2 good baked potatoes. I need a nap. Like,
My hair needs to take a break.
I need a hella nap.
I just had enough time to pick up everything from the buffet. Now I need to go eat it.
I know. It's getting cold.
Yeah.
He looked like he was dead falling asleep. Well, Scott Baio's happy. Very tall man is texting his wife like, honey, I think I'll be home one time.
We can
No,
watch
they're
Dancing
all
with the
gonna be
Stars
guilty.
tonight.
They're all going to be guilty if I hear a supposedly. Oh,
Thank you,
sir,
Your Honor.
maybe not with the
Bill,
digging.
you mentioned one of the chapters, or maybe you didn't. Was there a
Okay.
Are you there, Mo?
Someone's frozen.
Okay, I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay. Gosh, Mo.
Let it go. Let it go. I can't find it anymore. I don't know the lyrics.
I don't either. Guess we'll have to entertain everyone ourselves.
Well, what's your experience with the large snakes?
The way that you perform your duties is going to reflect on everybody in the area. And if you remain calm and are professional, it tends to keep other people
Nothing
calm.
my outlaws haven't
And
said, let's be honest.
if you pay attention to the details, you can relay that information
Such an asshole,
to people that might need it.
people that might need it?
Sir,
Such
don't
as who?
smile.
Other responding officers to
His smile is apropos of nothing. So it just looks like he's remembering that he was told to smile once in a while. And he's like, check. Smile once in a while.
dispatch to emergency personnel, fire department, other investigators, the DA.
And so you learned
His
it's
eyes
important to be able to pay attention to detail. Why is that so important?
It's so important because if you don't, you won't be able to put the pieces together of what took place. And if you pay attention to details, then you'll have more knowledge about that situation.
And would you be able to share that with other people who needed that information?
Exactly.
You said you completed that training, the 400-hour training program in, I think you said the summer of 1999?
That's correct.
And that was before you graduated UW-Stevens Point.
Yes, that's correct.
What happened after you graduated UW-Stevens Point?
After I graduated, I went out and searched for employment. And
In law enforcement?
I did. I actually was very happy to find a job with Hartman Creek State Park outside of Wapaka here as a LT park ranger.
An LT?
LTE, limited term employment. Because it's a state park, it's only needed for rangers during the months like spring and summer and fall.
And when you were hired
What do you
there, is
mean?
that when you
They just don't
knew
need
it
you
was
in
just going
winter.
to be for a limited term?
Yes, correct.
After that ended, what did you do?
I applied to the City of Wapaka Police Department and was hired.
And when was that?
I believe probably 2001, 2002, early 2000s.
And how long did you work with the Wapaka Police Department?
Say about 3.5 to 4 years.
When you were hired by the police department, did they have any additional training?
Yes, there was. There was kind of like on-the-job training. It's called the FTO, or Field Training Officer Program.
And we heard another officer testify a little bit about field training officer. Can you tell us more about what that meant?
Yeah, you're paired up with a more experienced, seasoned officer in the department, and you work together, and you ride along in the same squad car and respond to all the calls together. And at first, the FTO does most of the, contact to show you how to do it. And then as you progress through the program, they more sit back and let you take over doing it, and then you can ask them questions and they can give you pointers and information.
And how long did the FTO, or field training officer, last?
I think it was a couple months, 2-3 months.
And after that ended, it was...
Poor baby cop at the beginning of the trial. I think it was like his first week unaccompanied, and he came on to this scene.
Yeah.
So he looked like he was going to upchuck. I think this is where he starts his lifelong dependency on alcohol.
Probably not going to be a homicide detective.
No, the defendants, both blood alcohol and major intoxicant screening came back clear. So he was the only person not high that night.
Wow.
Which I think someone earlier in the chat said, I don't understand how this guy got involved with
All
the
these
circle of
weirdos.
people. Yeah.
He's wholesome. I don't get it.
Okay. We all saw his wife, all right? The wife that was so boring that the jury asked if they could start deliberation between direct and cross.
Of the first witness.
Yeah, they actually sent a note to the judge like, can we start deliberating now? They were so bored. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he met Tiffany and she looked a whole lot better at the time and she wasn't quite dependent on everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, I live at home with a stale saltine cracker. This weird flaming hot Dorito looks nice, but it's going to cause issues later. Possibly too.
Or a designated shooter.
Eh.
On your own.
Sort of, yes. You're on your own, except you always have the support of the other officers. So I was lucky enough to have a sergeant that I got along with well, and could ask him questions if I needed to about things.
Even after the field training officer was done?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, gentlemen, so what have we learned? You get hooked up with crazy, you are going to end up in court.
Mm.
But the wife seemed totally cool with it, so I don't even get it.
In addition to the field training officer, was there anything else that you needed to learn when you became a police officer with the city of Waupaca?
There was a lot of things I needed to learn. We needed to know the jurisdiction, so where the city limits started and stopped, all the street names, the 10 codes that they used here on the radio, the different channels. Needed to know the speed limits on which roads were which.
You mentioned the street names, so you had to learn all the street names in Waupaca?
Every single one, yes.
I imagine that took quite some time.
It did.
That leaves me out. I'd be like,
I
"One
wasn't
over
born
by
and
the
raised here, so
Walgreens." I don't know.
it did. It took quite a while for me to memorize all the roads, but it was important so you could always, call out your location.
While You were a Wapaka
I
police
am not
officer.
sure.
Did you respond to emergency calls?
Yes, I did.
And what types of emergency calls did you respond to?
There were medical emergencies. If someone, was having a possible heart attack, or a diabetic who had gone unconscious, any kind of medical situation. We also went to a lot of traffic accidents with multiple vehicles, injuries. We'd go to domestic disputes, all kinds of emergency calls.
And approximately how many emergency calls would you say on average per week?
Emergency call, I would say at least one a week.
Once a week for the 3.5, 4 years?
Yeah.
So if my math is correct, roughly 150 to 200?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Did you ever have to respond to situations involving armed or hostile suspects?
Yes.
How many of those would you say?
Uh-oh.
Here we go again. Here we go again on our own. Da da dun 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 dun.
Come on, Mo.
Where there's a
Hey.
altercation between
back.
two people. Also, like a hotel or a bar could call and say we have a unruly, a fight or drunk or whatnot.
In
Go ahead.
any of those calls, did you have to utilize your firearm?
Yes.
How so?
I utilize my firearm more than once, just in situations where you're walking into a potentially dangerous situation. Again, I remember going up a stairwell to a situation that we had a report of possibly armed suspect, and other situations where you're entering a situation that there are violent or armed suspects.
Did you ever have to discharge your firearm?
Thankfully, no, I did not.
You mentioned, I think you started in 2001 or 2002 at Wapaka Police Department,
That sounds right.
and you were there approximately 3.5 to 4 years.
That's correct.
What did you do after you left the force?
With me singing, there are
I started
no
working
reason for any
outdoors
copyright
with
strikes.
Anderson Tree Service, and I got more heavily into the exotic animals. And then I also started working at Marina and Shawano, selling boats, motors, ATVs, snowmobiles, outdoor recreation items.
You mentioned you got more involved in exotic animals. Were you continuing that while you were in college and on the Wapaka Police Department?
Yes, I have always had an extensive collection of exotic animals, mostly reptiles and amphibians, and I continued to buy, sell, and trade them, and I had a couple of pet stores that I'd supply.
And you mentioned some other businesses that you worked at.
Yes.
Anderson Tree Service?
Yes. My neighbor actually owned it at the time I first started working with him, and I eventually purchased the company and became the owner of Anderson Tree Service.
And then at some point is when you bought the property on Main.
His just out of sequence smiles are killing me. Because I can almost see on his mind, oh, right, he told me to smile.
He may be autistic.
He seems like he's very
that's-
hyper.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
And my guess is that he fell into this group because he's a good listener. So he'll just sit there and listen. And if someone listens to him about probably the lizards that he likes,
Yeah.
they're best friends for life. Although if he's autistic, he did a fairly long time with a pretty forward-facing public job.
True.
But I mean, there's a lot more of a spectrum now, so.
Then again, I did 5 years at PetSmart, so. and I'm kind of autistic.
Yeah, yeah, he just seems like a good friend you want to listen to, but then when he starts talking about amphibians, it's like,
Shut up.
well, I mean, maybe if I could talk him into seeing like a hedgehog or something, not before you
Street?
feed it.
Yeah, years later.
Okay. And that was going to be another business for you to run?
That could be it too.
It was going to be the exotic animal business, but then move from more of a wholesale and working directly just with the zoos to more of a retail.
And I want to talk to you a little bit about April.
Okay.
When did you meet April?
I met her my second year of college. I think it'd be about 1996 or 7.
And how did you meet her?
She was a friend of a friend, and a friend of mine's girlfriend was her college roommate.
You better say D&D
And
like
so I met her
we
through
know
them.
it is.
And was April, she was also a student at UW Stevens Point?
That's correct.
When you attended the 400-hour training program at Fox Valley Tech, did you still live in Stevens Point?
No, since it was a month's long
God, he just smiled
program,
again.
I found a place in Appleton. A friend of mine and I were both taking the academy, so we found a place to rent.
If the judge
And then
put his
after
hand
that,
a
you
bit
moved back
more
to-
up, his wig would fall back.
You guys, here's what's wrong with policing. 1999, the training was a month long. They say 400 hours. So now the new current training is 90 days or 3 months long.
Oh. In Sweden, it's a 2-year commitment to become a police officer.
Jeez.
It's a university study.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably for the
So-
best, but that's just
Yeah,
very different.
but
than
there are still not clever people there. It's more or less, oh, I didn't get into a regular university. I can
Oh,
become a
okay.
cop.
backup
And
plan.
there, 2020, they lowered the standards for the intake because they didn't have enough applicants. Yay!
That's always led to great things.
So it's like the liberal arts degree here.
Yeah. Here's a gun.
Do you have guns?
Sit
there? I
down
mean,
and listen.
cops?
Sit down and listen for. No, there are. It's a 50-50 situation. 50% wants to do good. 50% are there because they are not
Yeah.
suited for anything else. And then you have this brotherhood of cops where the 150% protects the other 50%. And
Of
yeah,
course.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can't possibly lead to anything bad happening.
of course not.
Stevens
Well,
Point to
should
finish up school?
Yes, that's correct.
And where was April during all that time?
During the time we were at school, we lived in houses around Stevens Point. April and I and some other roommates lived together, and we went from one house to the next for different semesters.
And do you remember when you got married?
I think it was in 2007.
Had you
That's a
started
smile of
dating
pain.
when you first met April?
Yeah, a short time after I met her, we were dating for about 10 years before we ended up getting married.
And when exactly do you remember getting the house on East Road?
It was not much within a year after I got hired by the Wapak Police Department. I know they had a residency requirement that I needed to fulfill. And so shortly after getting hired, we started looking at houses in the Wapak area.
And the house on East Road met those residency requirements?
We had a 7-mile radius that we needed to be within, and that was just within the 7-mile radius. So it worked.
And I know you mentioned that at East Road is where you had the shed to keep the animals. Was that a sort of a draw to getting that house as well?
The location was a very big draw because of the privacy. It was far off the road, and had the potential to have enclosures and outbuildings, and it was a great place to accommodate animals. It was zoned agricultural.
Farrell, when we
When
switched
did
to
you first
5G,
meet
did your
Tiffany?
microwave ping?
I met her probably 2002, 2003, while I was working as a police officer.
And how much contact would you have with her then?
Just sporadic. I responded to some calls that she was, involved with.
Okay. For FFS, seriously, sir, you met your side piece while responding to domestics, I'm sure, at her house.
Well, I mean, we all got to meet someone somewhere.
I can save her.
I'll fix her.
Just
I'll
13
fix her.
felony arrests. But that wasn't the highest in this case. The highest was, I believe, a chipper and very forthright 26.
Yes.
Okay.
No. We just, no.
Fair to say your relationship then was strictly professional?
Oh, yes, 100%.
And we heard her testify about
100%.
reconnecting
Yes.
on some trip to Florida. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was going to Daytona, Florida for a reptile breeders expo. It's a national event that takes place every year. And I had a couple of friends that were planning on going who at the last minute couldn't. And so I was looking for someone to take the trip with me so I wouldn't be driving all the way to Florida by myself.
Salvador, he managed to catch a wife and a side piece with apparently reptile conventions. There is hope. No, never would romancing me involve going to a reptile convention. Now, going to an ancient alien convention because I think this would be just awesome people watching. Yes. So,
What about a Sailor Moon convention?
oh hell yeah, I'd be there, but I mean, I'd be buying all the things and Mr. Mo would be like, is our credit card going up and up? Well, so Nick, if you want to grift, since you'd like to be functional on your day off.
Yes. Hi. Watch me. I'm tired. Yeah. I might have started drinking a couple of hours ago. So, yeah, I'm going to fall
My
asleep.
shock and
go.
awe. Have a good night, Nick. Get some sleep.
Yeah. Everybody subscribe to these people, and I'll see you on my streams later this week. Okay.
Sounds good.
Just like I have a
Thanks.
stream sometime. I have no idea.
Bye, Nick. Nice seeing you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, the convention was in Florida, so
And a mutual friend of ours
I am
suggested
going to move
that
him to 1.5.
she would be free and interested in going.
And it sounds like she was.
She was. So I didn't really even know it was her when I called to ask if she wanted to go on the trip. But then once I saw her in person,
What the actual hell? Did he put this like on Craigslist? I need someone to drive with me to a reptile convention. The actual hell, sir. You're going to... Hitchhikers are bad. What in the world?
recognized
Some
her.
pickup line.
It worked out well.
And it sounds
She
like
saw my
that
snake.
relationship became intimate.
It did.
And at that time,
In Florida.
do you remember the year when that trip occurred?
I think it was August of 2019.
And at that time, you were married.
Yes.
And did Tiffany know that you were married?
Yes, absolutely.
And what about April? Did she know that
She's
you were
excited
taking
for
Tiffany on
pros.
this trip?
Yes, 100%.
And what was everybody's thoughts about it?
Everyone was good with it, happy with it.
So April was aware of the intimate relationship between you and Tiffany?
Yes, she participated in it. She was
What
Wait,
the actual...
happy with it.
Wait. What?
Wait, stop. Run the... The actual fuckerness? What?
This guy can get a threesome or a thruple.
Have you met the throuple participants
Well,
though?
fair. That's true. I
I'm not-
could get women in Mesa. It's just I have
it's more-
standards, believe it or not.
You have standards. You can get a good woman who likes, Cats and Archer and Futurama. I need to start drinking with this whole throuple. Like, no, she was totally down with it.
She knew about it. She experienced it.
What in the actual? Can you imagine? Your exploits like poor Mormon shoulder pad man. I mean, at least he only had adjustment to talk about. No, this man has a beige throuple.
At least they didn't have a threesome. And then they have to go to Mormon church on Sunday and talk about it, all awkward. Hi, Alex. Or whatever, Travis.
Yeah. I just, his near soon to be ex-wife is like, God dang it, I told you not to. I mean, she was trying to be all. She did watch the side piece's son, so I kind of figured it was some sort of sister wife.
She is spending 15 years in prison because she did a plea deal. This guy there's a chance he may walk. Rising by the day.
That's definitely going to put a damper on that particular throuple.
I can't even imagine clean out.
After spending that time with Tiffany and becoming intimate, did you ultimately meet her family?
I did.
And tell me about her family.
On the trip, we stopped at her mother's
Jesus,
in Alabama,
Mary
and I met
and
her mother.
Joseph.
And
not only
The
did
side
they go
piece
see-
introduced me to her mom.
Well, Mom, he's married, but it's like kind of a temporary thing. They're just testing it out for 10 years, see how it goes. Sometimes you want a Ritz cracker instead of a saltine, and
I'm Plan B.
Oh my God, y'all make it make sense.
so we spent some time together. It went well. I thought she was, very welcoming and nice. Made me some tea, and we sat around a campfire.
The Southern hospitality we hear about?
Absolutely. And
Your daughter's dating a guy.
then when we
who's
got
married?
back from the trip, I remember meeting her son, Riley, and his son, Jackson. And spent a time, after that, I eventually met Rowan. And then after that, met her son, Reagan.
Tell me about when you first met Riley.
On the way back from the Reptile Breeders Expo, there's a Nike outlet store. I don't remember what state it was in, but we stopped because her sons really, really liked Nike. And so we were in the store, and I remember she was texting pictures of some sneakers to Riley, asking which ones Rowan would like, and getting his.
We almost do have to ask that question at this point. Like, yeah, I slept with a grandma too. I mean, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. I thought that was how you did things in the South. I am beginning to get more and more intrigued.
Advice, and then after that, we picked out sneakers for Riley, and then I helped her pick out sneakers for Jackson.
And is that when you first met Riley, when you gave them the sneakers?
Yeah, when we got back, we went to his apartment on Granite Street, and we're there to give him the sneakers for him and his son, and that's when I met him.
And that was the first time you had met Riley?
I might have seen him in the stroller when he was a little baby, but I didn't really meet him.
And did you ever
When I
spend a
first
lot
met
of time
his
with
mom
Riley?
on a domestic.
Yeah, I did after that.
And what would you guys do together?
All kinds of stuff. We would go play basketball. He actually helped me with some tree jobs where he would do tree work with me. I'd give him rides to wherever he needed to go. We'd hang out. He liked playing the video games, so we would do that every once in a while.
Typical teenager stuff.
Yeah.
Did you and April ever have any kids?
No, just the animals.
Were the animals like your kids?
Yeah, exactly. I had a troop of ringtail lemurs for over 20 years, and They're a small primate from Madagascar, like a monkey, and they're very affectionate. And they'd sit on my shoulder and they'd sit on my lap and pet them and feed them treats. And yeah, they were like my kids.
Did you consider Riley like a kid?
Not as much
You know,
as
at
my
first,
lemurs.
not so much, but then as I got to know him and I spent more time with him, yeah, he definitely, became like family to me.
Did Riley ever help you out with the animals?
Not a lot. He came over once, I remember, and he was going to feed some minnows to some fish and some turtles for me.
Did he ever deal with the venomous reptiles?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Would you let him?
No. No, it would take a lot of time to, train him and get him experience to the point where it would be safe. And he wasn't out there with the animals enough to do that.
Tell me about Riley's physical characteristics.
He was thinner than me, but very strong, a low body fat, high muscle content. I don't know if people say wiry, but
Sir, I need you to not describe him like a sirloin. These are not things you do unless you're Joel Guy Jr.
He was very quick. He was extremely fast. I know one time he was running after a loose dog, and he's so quick. And we'd play basketball together, and he'd leave me in the dust, obviously. And he'd scamper up the trees, and his muscles. He was very strong. He'd hold the chainsaw and the limbs, and he was in good physical shape.
Now you have some physical limitations as you sit here today.
I do now, yes.
And we don't have to get into the specifics, but it's a medical sort of condition that you have right now.
Yes, I've got a pretty serious and rare disease.
Back in 2019, 2020, were you in the same physical condition?
No, not at all. Wow.
And what was different about you physically in 2019, 2020?
2020, I probably weighed 195 pounds. I have a massive amount of retained fluid right now. I probably have 50 to 60 pounds of fluid that I did not have. I had no problems standing, walking, running, jumping. And now I can't really do much of that at all.
Without those limitations, would you say Riley was still faster than you?
Oh, much, much faster, yes.
What about stronger than you?
Yeah, he was stronger than I was.
Well, I didn't want to. This was kind of the star
You
witness.
mentioned
but
something
yes.
about a chainsaw. Is that from seeing him helping you in the tree service company?
Yeah, that's correct.
So you got to see how strong he was sort of up close.
Yeah, he could do things that you wish I could do still, and wish I could have done then. He could scamp up those
he's
trees
on
and
dialysis.
throw things around
Almost
much quicker and much more efficiently than I was, because unfortunately, I was getting old.
That's a creepy spot.
As you got to know Riley, it sounds like you spent a lot of time
Sure.
together, played video games.
Oh God, am I by myself here? Mo, help me. There's a creepy guy here and my cat's scratching my couch.
All sustained.
Were you aware of any incidences of Riley engaging in violent behaviors?
Yes.
I was going to say, let's take a recess.
Bailiff, get me down from here now.
Swear to goodness, Barney Gumble is right behind him. And he's been there every day, and I can't tell if he's
related to him, I think.
But he looks like he is like 5 drink. He is fully Barney Gumbled, if you get my drift.
It's Wisconsin. You have to be drunk or on meth.
I think the judge takes serious exception for him not standing up.
You're on the record
He has to
outside the
stand up.
presence of the jury.
He's like, I had to work out for like 5 seconds.
Ms. Hogan, where are you going with this line of questioning?
Your Honor, this is specifically related to the McMorris motion that I filed, and it will go ultimately to Bill's state of mind as to why he grabbed the shotgun from his vehicle as it relates to the need to defend himself.
And comment, Ms. Isherwood?
When we had the pretrial motion,
the discussion was that it may be appropriate if there's a self-defense claim in this, but not in order to establish the self-defense claim. I mean, there is nothing at all on the record
Oh no,
of the self-defense case.
all by myself.
Your Honor, it can be admitted to show certain actions were done in self.
Well, I can just take over Mo's channel. So, all right,
To
I'm Salvador
explain that
Dali.
state of mind later on in
Sorry.
Bill's testimony.
Oh,
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Relevant later
Ah.
on, but I think you're gonna have to establish some level of, we've got a self-defense claim here before we necessarily back in that type of testimony.
So the court's ruling is once Bill essentially testifies that he saw Riley as a threat, then we'll be able to get into this.
Then I will allow it because you're showing
Oh,
why.
for good Lord, do you really have to jump through these loopholes?
and lawyers are
But at this
pedantic
point in time, I think it's
assholes.
premature.
I mean,
Again,
I like most of the lawyers
Time,
we
maybe this would
can
be a good time for an afternoon break anyway.
Okay.
we hang out
Sometimes-
with, but the
Yeah, I know.
pedanticness is a bit.
It just gets so tedious sometimes. I understand there's a reason, but sometimes it gets a little too muddy.
Wow, this is a long break. What in the actual?
Well, they had to help the guy off the
Find
stand
that
to the
would completely
bathroom,
preclude
lift him up off
that
the chair.
instruction. I'm not ready to say there's a basis for it now, but I mean, it has to be
An
established
actual-
through testimony. And I'm going to simply allow him to express.
Absolutely. I just don't want to, when that,
County, you have to,
Let me, because it's showing up normal.
Yeah,
There we go.
There you go. They helped
I was
him
like,
back
it's
up on the
showing
stand.
up normal on the little, as you're dragging it across the little screen.
Yeah.
It's like I don't. And my internet, the jack is directly plugged in, so I don't know what the Wi-Fi is doing with it.
Are you sure it's
Please be
well?
seated.
I won't. You might want to make
I-
sure it's not connected to Wi-Fi.
Members of the jury,
I have to check
I
that.
am
Ask
going
your
to
husband.
extract the response of Mr. Zelenski's last answer to the last question. You may proceed.
Bill, I want to move to the day that you found out that you had been robbed.
They
Okay.
took my lizards.
How did you find out that you were robbed?
the first thing the first way I found out was when April called and said, did you move some animal enclosures or take some of the animals out of the reptile room?
Oh, they took
I
them
said,
in
no.
the enclosures.
Something missing?
Okay,
Why do you
safety
ask?
first. That makes sense. They didn't stuff them
Salvador?
down their pants.
No, they stuffed them down their pants.
Okay.
That's the only way this happened. The only way I choose to believe this happened. Regardless of facts and evidence, they will always be pants, reptile smugglers.
Fair enough.
And she said, yeah, there's things in disarray and there's things missing. And that's how I found out, first of all, that those things are missing.
And at some point, did you go to the residence on East Road
I did.
and look in that shed?
Yes.
Oh, it's a
And
wheelchair's just
how many
literally
animals
sitting
were
in the
taken?
background.
I can't recall the exact number. I would say
Well,
Don't speak for everyone.
well,
someone's
well,
somewhere
gonna
around
lie
15.
And
There is
after
some
you found out
Japanese people.
that the animals had been taken, how did that make you feel?
Very upset. I was very worried and distraught.
Why were you so worried?
Because you don't take another man's steak,
All the
son.
animals that were taken needed specialized care and environment to survive. And I was really worried too because some of them were very dangerous and in the wrong hands, deadly.
Were you worried about the animals themselves?
Very worried about the animals themselves, yes.
And what were you so worried about the animals themselves?
I cared about the animals. I knew that
Kathy
without the
Bates.
proper care
Hi.
in the wrong hands, they would, possibly get sick, possibly die, possibly escape. Almost certainly the environmental requirements wouldn't be met unless someone had a setup specifically for them.
And were you worried about other people?
Someone else.
Yes, very.
And What
That
other
should have
people were you
been
worried about?
number one
Specifically, whoever took
response.
them, whoever was in contact with them, anyone in the area of where they were being kept.
And so some of those animals that we saw throughout this trial, some of them were venomous.
Yes, that's correct.
Were all of them venomous?
I know.
And you said that April had called you and told you about the theft of the animals. Did you discover things were taken from you elsewhere?
Yes, when she called and notified me about the animals being stolen, a short time later, I got in my car, which was parked behind Main Street. And when I got in, I noticed items in the car were missing.
Such as what?
Specifically, there was a 9mm Smith & Wesson semi-automatic handgun in the center console that was missing. And then I also noticed some other items like some money and cell phone charger and cell phone.
Later on, did you discover anything else from your car had gone missing?
I did. I didn't initially notice, but because I don't look at it every day, but there's a lockbox underneath the passenger seat that's attached with a metal cable. And that lockbox contained a small .38 special revolver.
And that lockbox had gone missing?
Yeah, the cable had been cut and the whole lockbox was gone with the gun inside.
And you said the lockbox was where?
It was underneath the passenger seat, so it wasn't visible. It was kind of hidden under there, and that's why I didn't notice it originally.
And you said there was the 9mm taken.
Yes, that was in the center console.
Was there a clip with the 9mm?
Yeah, there was a magazine that I kept separately, so that the gun wasn't loaded while it was in the car, but the magazine was close by, so it could be put in.
And earlier you testified that 9mm is a fairly common gun.
Yeah, very, very common.
And I imagine the ammunition for it is pretty prevalently available.
Yeah, it's readily available. Fleet Farm has it.
And is there a waiting time or waiting period to actually buy a handgun?
I believe there is.
And to your knowledge, is there any
Are you a
requirement, a
Democrat?
waiting period to buy ammunition?
No, I don't believe there is.
So anybody who had taken the 9mm handgun could just go and buy ammunition for it?
Yes.
That's a good point.
Did that concern you?
Yes, it did.
Why?
Again, in the wrong hands, the firearms are deadly.
And because they happened at the same time, did that lead you to suspect anything about who might have taken that stuff?
It did. My residence is very private on purpose because of the exotic animals. And so we didn't have a lot of people out there. So not a lot of people knew exactly where we lived, and it's hidden from the road. And I parked in the alley behind 111 North Main Street, which again isn't somewhere a lot of people see.
That
so
is true.
The fact that things went missing from my car.
Indiana, according to Chicago, is the reason for Chicago's force multiplier problems.
Yes.
Because according to them, we don't have any background checks. You just like get one as soon as you cross state lines.
Yeah, it's just handed out, automatic.
Yeah.
Every resident has to have one.
Gotta love being blamed for Chirac.
Meanwhile, there's like no problems in Indiana, and all the problems are in Chicago.
Okay, well, we do have Gary. I mean, I'm just...
Okay. A liberal area.
Well, I don't think it's a habited area anymore.
Okay. I don't know Indiana much.
Where it was parked behind the building on Main Street and in the very private East Road residence led me to believe it had to be someone who knew both locations and that my car would be there because I was there and that they could access both the car and the property on East Road.
Retire?
And when you discovered that these handguns were missing, what did you do?
Well, I told April when she was out at the house to report the reptiles and such stolen, and I informed her that she should report the gun stolen. And they officers responded and said, you can't report it to county, you have to report it to the city.
And
they have to be missing for 24 hours.
To the city?
That's exactly what I did. Then I contacted the city of Opaka Police Department to let them know that there was a theft of those items from my car in the city limits.
And how would you characterize law enforcement's response?
Taboo.
They responded to take the reports, and initially they did everything that you would to start the complaint and speak with me, the victim, and April, the victim.
And with respect to the animals, what did you think somebody may try to do with the animals?
Well, because they
Did
were
you do an age
valuable,
progression of the animals so you
I
can
didn't think anyone
recognize them in the
stole them
future?
just to have. So I figured they would try to sell them to make a profit and get the money.
And because you thought that they might try to sell them, what did you do with that information?
Well, I had to pay for my
I
defense.
immediately
so
hit
I
the
got 'em
streets. I started contacting everybody that I could think of, locally in the area, and also just in the widespread
Fry's,
reptile community, to let
Breeder,
them know
Walmart.
what was stolen.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No.
I thought you were trying to say something.
No. I just
Oh, okay.
not.
Wow, I don't know that we're going to get to cross.
No, I don't
Today.
think cross happens today.
Okay.
No, they just
Well,
want to
'cause I
talk
was-
about a man and his snakes.
And to watch for those specific animals. And then if they heard anything about it, to let me know.
So you were trying to contact anybody you knew.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you,
it
Matt.
sounds like people in that animal community.
Yeah, I have a lot of contacts from the years of doing this type of activity. And I would, like I said, go to national trade shows and conferences. And so I know a lot of people around the country.
Did you go online at all?
I did.
And what did you do online?
I checked all the sites that I know where people could sell the animals and the handguns. Some of the animals were very unique, very rare. And so if someone was advertising one of those animals for sale, I could identify it as mine and then follow that lead.
And Bill, I'm going to hand you what's been previously marked as Exhibit 42. We heard some testimony yesterday that is a internet search history. Does that look familiar?
Yes, it does look like an internet history.
And who would have been?
I think all of that was to get in that he was trained that regardless of how it looks to an outsider, say, because the state is making a big deal of how far away Riley was. He has personal knowledge that just because he looks far away, that situation can be much more dangerous than it appears to an outsider.
Those glasses on his ears. That's like Photoshop.
Yeah.
Seriously, did David like Photoshop glasses on him?
They do look a little bit sharper than the rest of him. He looks like soft focus. They look like photorealistic.
Or it looks like they're just going to fall off his ears.
And the one doing that internet search.
It looks like my internet history. That's something I would do.
And what sort of sites were you visiting?
Sir, this is Mark Jensen's internet history, not
Fauna
mine.
Classified is a website for reptiles and amphibians. Kingsnake.com advertisements. Basically, they're all places where people buy, sell, and trade reptiles and amphibians. And then I see there's a gunbroker.com where I'd be looking for the stolen guns to be sold.
And so all that internet search history is trying to find somebody selling the animals that were stolen from you?
Exactly. And some of them have specifics. Like I was looking for a freshwater crocodile on this amazing Amazon. And one of the animals stolen was a crocodile.
No, I've done that.
And I think I heard you say you texted some people.
I did. I texted and messengered quite a few people.
Okay, my joke
saw a
about
lot of
him
those
going up.
text messages yesterday. Those were all text messages or Facebook messages that you sent?
Correct.
And I
Just goes
want
up
to
to
ask you
random
some
people.
questions about some of them.
Have you seen my lizard? Oh, he's got hemorrhoids. Hate it when that happens.
So I see somebody
My
with the
dad needed a
name
balloon.
Andrew Ungerman.
Well, so if he has a lot of swelling, like that's part of the thing I have with my leg. If it swells a lot, it's painful.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, so, but and not all of them apparently have the aubergine throne of awesome. Like
Can't the judge like share his chair with him for a little bit? Come on, it's a medical emergency, Judge.
The judge is like, I have roids too. Shut up.
I got a little balloon
Who's
here.
the
I'm not going to
AST
share it with you though.
And who's that?
My
The pink
dad
blue
literally
CST
got
buyer
one.
means that he purchased a very rare color morph of an alligator, a snapping turtle. And so
Okay.
that's why I put that, because I have so many animal contacts.
Okay. So is it actually purple or I'm confused?
It can be. I mean, there's like a green snake, but there's this super rare morph that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars because it's blue.
I think there's something to do with probably his
Kidneys.
kidneys.
Wonder if we can get a kidney transplant in prison.
I don't know.
Well, he's not drinking. I guess that's for
Well, and
liver.
he wasn't drinking at the time either.
True.
It reminded me of who he was. So he was a gentleman that had purchased a very rare turtle from me.
And so that was somebody in the animal community.
As it
Correct.
happens.
And some of the texts that you sent were to people that just had their
Okay,
full
Merce.
names. Did you recognize some of their names just from the animal community?
Some of them I recognized from the animal community as
It's very unlikely, but he could have what I have, complex regional pain syndrome. So if he had any sort of fall or even sometimes just out of the blue because, life's like, hey, looks like you're handling things well. Basically, your entire nervous system goes nuts on the affected limb, you usually swell. Blood flow is it's odd. Now, I haven't gotten the one good thing out of this whole thing, which is that generally after a couple of years of having it, your like leg hair or your arm hair stops growing in. But no, of course not.
Yikes.
And then a lot of people that have it, I haven't seen them flush though. So a lot of times people with this will flush because the affected limb either feels like a cold fire or a hot fire. So, but yeah, that could be
Yikes.
it.
It's awful.
It is not the funnest thing, but I have a lot of fairly okay days now. So,
That's good.
more than just someone I dealt with a couple times, and they were friends of mine. And I contacted people who are not in the reptile community, also
At
that
Walmart.
Just might know something that are
Checking up
either from the
on
area.
the
I
right
spread the word
pools.
to everyone I could possibly think of that just may by chance have some information.
Have you heard about my lizard?
Sir, all you should have done is gone to your crackhead girlfriends. Because let's be very honest, there's 9 different options, and you didn't even need the other 8.
He drives by Walmart, the guy pushing the carts into the store. Have you seen my lizard?
No, and there really is no treatment either. So, and I'm
Oh,
doubting
really?
that they're going to give him ketamine infusions in jail.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ooh, ketamine.
I haven't gotten all the way down that road yet, but that is one of the market infusions, I guess, the things that have done really well. And I was like, well,
I want to ask you specifically about some of the text messages we saw yesterday. There was one that said someone wrote their own death sentence. They just want the animals back ASAP so they don't get sick or sold multiple times. Do you remember that one from yesterday?
I do.
oh,
And
he might be actually, someone in chat had said, maybe he's talking about, sign their own death sentence because some of those were venomous, not poisonous. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't put it past these particular thieves to not try to lick any one of them.
what did you mean by that text message?
I meant if someone has a gaboon viper that doesn't know what they're doing, it's an almost certainty if they get bit, they're going to die.
Oh,
And
wow.
whoever took them,
Wow.
as far as I know, wouldn't have been trained in how to
Wait,
handle them properly.
They took even I know, I'm guessing by Sal's face, that's a pretty serious.
Well, a viper, I mean, any of these animals could potentially die, so it would explain his text. And if he thought it was his wife's meth head son, then, I mean, he needs to explain it very well to the jury, but that would completely explain the text.
That, yeah, I mean, and it, well, yeah, he
Yeah.
could be lying, but he said really scary snake name, and I'm like sold.
What did
Also,
he say the
Nile,
name?
a Gaboon Viper. I believe I've heard of it, but it might have been during
Gaboon
Kill
Viper.
Bill.
They very rarely bite humans, but let's see. Yeah, you'll die if you don't get an antidote immediately.
And I doubt that Wisconsin has Gaboon Viper antidote.
It's the most venomous snake in the world. So,
okay.
But it depends on the amount of venom it injects, because snakes will, like older rattlesnakes, inject less venom. If a baby rattlesnake bites you, you're screwed. But older ones learn how to inject venom better, but it's still very deadly.
Okay. Well,
if they're trying to sell them multiple times, they're going to have to take pictures of them, handle them. It's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Brain trusts.
You didn't mean that you were going to go kill the person responsible.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
we also
heard
saw a
him
message
talk,
yesterday.
I wouldn't believe him saying like someone
something
signed
along
their
the lines
death
of,
warrant.
Yeah,
you're going to go hunting thieves. Do you remember that message from yesterday?
Sounds familiar.
And what did you mean by that?
It means I'm going to try to track down leads. I'm going to try to find information. I'm going to hunt down anything I can find out about who took the animals.
You didn't mean literally like you're going to go on a hunt for like a hunt deer.
Oh no, of course not.
And I know we had seen another message about you filling out some paperwork. Do you remember what paperwork you had to fill out after these things were stolen from you?
Yeah. April had one for the county and I had one for the city, filling out which items were stolen. I know for the firearms, they wanted a description, the serial numbers, the value of them. And so I was filling out the forms to turn into the police officers.
And we saw a message yesterday that was sent by you. I'm still filling out paperwork and hunting down the third.
Yes.
Well, my guess is if he had to, not like a registry, but if you bought it from a store, they would have the serial number.
Yeah, parrots have leg bands that go around their leg when they're born with a unique number.
Well, I was thinking the firearms.
Oh, I thought we were talking about snakes. Okay.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe you
I was
like
watching the snake. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Carry on.
Oh my gosh, we have the best chat.
They really are amazing. I just love this guy. God, I just want him to be found not guilty and tried to get him for an interview.
Yes.
Even though we've spent the last week mocking him, but
that was before we knew him.
I know. Now we know him, and he's like our favorite uncle.
Yeah, we have to admit
we
like him now.
In the same context that you use the word hunting?
Yes, correct. Searching for.
You weren't trying to go hunting with a gun and find these people.
No.
You were hunting them down, like tracking down where the animals were.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
There was a message that was brought up yesterday about this will be solved on the streets. Do you remember that message from yesterday?
I do.
And what did you mean by that message?
That means
truth.
I was dedicating every moment, all my efforts to this case because I was personally involved and I really cared about it. And I know the law enforcement agencies only have so much time. They have a lot of calls, a lot of complaints to deal with. And so they can only dedicate so much time to it. And so when I was out there following every lead, contacting everybody I know, trying to solve this mystery, I figured I would be more effective in a more timely manner to get this mystery solved and
Perfect.
find out what happened and
He's
find
like
him.
And the
Scooby-Doo.
way, well, and the way he says it, it's not in a
Snide.
look. If anyone in the Travis Rudolph trial had said this about their text, I'd have been like, get the heck out of here. But this guy, I'm like, okay, tell me, Bill, what did you really mean? Because I don't think you would
Yeah.
hurt anyone.
Yes, excited.
I know. I hope he, yeah, I really do. I hope he gets acquitted so we can have him on our
I know.
shows.
This guy has just become my hero, and I was making fun of him like this morning, and now he's my hero. He's amazing.
Salvador.
I just
Sounds
want
by
him to be
solving
my
on the
best
streets, you
friend.
mean, just like what was testified, you went on the
Okay,
street and
hold
were trying
that
to
thought.
find
I might have a
information.
TLC program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were any of those
Salvador
messages
and the Snake King.
in reference to wanting to hurt the person who took
I think
these
so
things from
too,
you?
Murphs.
No, absolutely not.
To kill
Who
the
is
person
Brandy?
who took these things from you?
Oh God.
No.
13th juror. She's okay, but her chat
some
is
point, did
lawn
you
crime box
believe-
wine moms, and she's all right, but it's yeah.
Stick with Mo, the wine mom that you know and
I
love.
know. Cardboard.
Not all wine moms. Hashtag not all wine moms.
Believe that Riley may have been involved.
Yes.
And what did you do with that information?
When I suspected Riley was involved, I didn't have any evidence of it, but I went to his place and spoke to him.
And when you say his place,
Yeah, he had an upstairs apartment on Mill Street.
earlier you testified he lived on Granite Street.
Yes, when I first met him, he did live on Granite Street.
And then at some point he moved to Mill Street.
Yes.
Have you been over to his place on Mill Street before?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you what's been previously marked Exhibit 26. Can you see that okay, Bill?
I can see it, but it's hard. I can't read any of the names.
Okay, can you read that now? Maybe if I get it closer to you.
Yes.
And you can see this.
Can you see it now? Now?
And is that
He doesn't
where
have his
Riley's apartment
glasses
was?
on. Be nice to the man.
That does look accurate. Yes.
And over on Mill Street?
I
Yes.
wonder how many
That
times
was
he's
this
been
dot up
bit
here
by
that I
snakes
was
with
pointing to.
venom.
Yes, that's correct.
And I have a
That's
green
a
dot
trick
over
question.
here
He doesn't
that
remember.
is on Main Street.
Yes.
Is that about where your property was? on Main
Seriously,
Street?
Yeah, that looks accurate.
And I've labeled that 111 North.
this
Main Street.
prosecution
That's about accurate.
prosecution was ordered
I
from
also have
Nash.
a blue.
Although I
ish
do want
dot
that
over
pimp.
on Main Street. And do you know who would live there?
I do want the pimp king
that'd be
with
Tara?
a frog.
That'd be Tara's
I
house
desperately
right on Main
need it.
Street.
If anyone,
Yes,
I'm
I'll be
marked
getting a
down
PO
here,
box
this
if you
blue
want to
dot,
send me
Tara's
pimp
house,
canes
401
with
Main Street.
frogs.
that looks accurate.
See
Now,
if
there's
the
also a
defendant is
purple
acquitted,
dot
he can
over
get
here
it
on the
as a.
sort of right-hand side of the map.
He paid for it. You
down
better give me
Royalton
that
Street,
cane.
past Churchill. Do you know what would be there?
Oh, that looks like the building we're in now.
Okay, the courthouse.
Yes.
Is there anything attached to the courthouse?
Yeah, the Waupaca County Sheriff's Department and the Waupaca County Jail.
And you know, obviously, this layout.
We knew
talked
you'd
about
get
your
there,
knowledge
sir.
of the
We knew
streets
you'd
from
get
your
there.
time as law enforcement.
Yes.
Is that a fair and
You
accurate
see
map
that
and where all
leading.
these points of interest would be?
Yes.
So you testified that you went over to Riley's apartment on Mill Street.
Yes.
Well, what happened when you went there?
Ask
Oh, yeah.
Riley about it and to inform him about it because we thought he might be involved. And we went upstairs and Riley and his friend Ashton were there. And so I told him we had been burglarized and a bunch of animals went missing and someone stole guns out of my car.
You referenced Ashton. Did you know Ashton?
I didn't know him. I had seen him and met him a couple times around, but I didn't really know him.
Okay. And so Riley and Ashton were there and you said you brought up the thefts.
That's right.
What was their response?
Riley got very defensive and upset and like offended that we would accuse him of being involved.
Did he ask any questions?
No, I was surprised by that. And when I was explaining what had happened and what was missing, He didn't ask any questions at all about any of the details.
And do you know when you would have went over to Riley's apartment?
It would have been the day right after we found out everything was missing.
The day after or the day of? Or do you not remember?
Well, the day after it went missing. So I guess it would be the night of the day we found it was all missing.
Okay, so if they went missing between the night of October 14th and October 15th, if that's the frame of reference, what day would have you went over?
It would have been October 15th.
Okay. That evening?
In the evening, yes.
Okay. Did you threaten Riley at any time that night?
No, not at all.
Now I want to move forward. So
Yeah, she is.
we saw a bunch of these text messages that you're looking for information. Did you ever get any leads prior to October 19th?
No.
On October 19th, where were you sort of later in the evening?
I was at the East Road residence
was
in the house.
Who was all there?
I was there. April was there. Tiffany Rose was there, and Rowan was there.
And at that time,
would
did
like
you
to
receive
opine.
any information about the animals?
We did.
And what information was that?
Tiffany Rose got some messages from Mackenzie that
Who's Mackenzie?
Mackenzie is the mother of Riley's son and ex-girlfriend.
And you said that
all the
messages
time,
from her
every
said what?
day,
She was calling or messaging to inform
multiple
us
times an hour.
to be careful because Riley and Ashton had been asking for a ride out to rob me. And
Murph,
she said,
that about
you're going to
darn
get
near
robbed, so be
killed me.
careful. And
What was your reaction?
the response was, oh my gosh, we already were robbed. All the stuff was taken. And then she said, well, Riley and Ashton did it.
You testified that there was information
Okay, sir,
that
don't
Riley and Ashton
smile
had
at
asked
that
for a
point.
ride.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what she
Salvador.
told us.
And I think earlier you testified that you
Watch
heard
this.
it. And what was your reaction?
The response was, oh my gosh, we already were robbed. All the stuff was taken. And then she said, well, Riley and Ashton did it.
You testified that there was information that Riley and Ashton had asked for a ride.
Salvador, what is that? I need you to explainarate that.
I don't know. I swear.
Look, FFS might be my favorite coping mechanism.
Yeah,
for
that's
children
what she told us.
being-
And I think earlier you testified that you had given Riley rides before.
Yeah, all the time. I gave Riley rides, Mackenzie rides. Yeah, quite often.
Did Riley have a vehicle?
I know, never.
Did Mackenzie indicate, or did you receive any information as to where the animals might be?
Nothing concrete. She just said they may be at Ashton's mom's.
Did you know where Ashton's mom lived?
I did not.
Do you have any idea where she might live?
She said it was somewhere near Highway 10 outside of Waiwega.
And what did you do when you got that information from Mackenzie?
While she was actually still on the phone, we called the Sheriff's Department dispatch center.
And I know we heard a call the other day. There was some communication we heard about you saying, do you want to talk to the police?
Yes, the dispatch center asked if the person providing the information would be willing to talk to him. So we were trying to have Mackenzie meet up with an officer or speak to him on the phone so she could relay the information directly.
And did you contact anybody else that night?
I did.
Who did you contact?
I contacted Jeff Larson.
And how do you know Jeff Larson?
I know Jeff from contacts him around town. He owns quite a few properties. And he was Riley's landlord on Granite Street and on Mill Street. And he owned a building next to my building.
Why did you contact Jeff?
Because he knows the area very well and he was Riley's landlord. And I wanted to see if he was in town.
And do you know if Jeff was able to determine whether Riley was in town?
He said, yeah, I'm in town right across the street from his apartment. And he said he would take a look and keep an eye on the place and see if anyone was home.
And did he inform you as to whether Riley was home?
He did. He responded and said that he saw, he described Ashton and said, I see Ashton outside and I see other
I
people.
believe Ashton's mom was the one with the winning amount of convictions at 26,
Yeah, I think so.
while currently being. So I am probably going to go another 10 minutes, and then I will do a morning, or I'll
Okay.
start early in the morning before trial, because it, you know what? I never in my life thought I was going to be,
Hooked. Like rooting
well,
for him.
I know, but more to the fact is that I can tell when bad weather's coming in.
Oh,
So I'm like, I am just one more step closer to solving all my problems with cheesecake, like the Golden Girls. Because I've got a leg that I'm like, oh, it's going to storm. So tomorrow I will be probably starting at 8 a.m. to try to get,
8? That's 5 my time. Okay.
well, I'm just thinking because the court starts at 10.
No, that's perfect.
No, wait, let me see what time court starts. Well, it's been 8:30. What we might do then is I might go over this next bit, because it looks like we still have about an hour to go.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to finish this hour tomorrow morning, and then we will get through cross, and then hopefully by the time that you're done with work, we will be getting into closing statements, depending on
Yeah.
how fast it gets done. I'll send you a link, because I'm going to try to
Okay.
well, actually, so I'll start at 8 with the old stuff, but then I have a doctor's appointment at 10:20, so
That's okay.
we'll just see how the day goes. Don't make me have to do schedules.
Yeah.
So, sorry about this. Me done with work? You're never done. There's so many people that don't understand stuff about the Ninjanet. You know, it was for science.
Hey, inflation. Are you kidding me?
And inflation. Are you kidding
God,
him?
why would I buy a new one when I can get a pre-owned? God, what's so hard to understand? Yes, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, okay? I'm
We are
kidding. This better
sending
not become a thing. And I
It's
know
so
it's going to
totally a
become a
thing.
thing.
This is totally a thing. I will see you guys all tomorrow. I am done for today.
Prelude.
Clip
What's the
is
warranty?
becoming.
Can I get an extended warranty on it?
You said extended, which I'm going to forgive you for, sort of. I will see you all tomorrow, guys, and I will be getting my whiteboard between Monday and Thursday of next week. Now, it will take some time for Mr. Mo to figure out which wall I can set it on, and then how to put the tripod and the extra camera on it. Oh, for the love of flatulence. I'm sorry, Dennis. It seems like there is weather coming in, so I'm worried about my internet connection, but also I now have a limb that tells me when it's going to storm, and it is telling me it is going to storm.
Me too.
So I will see you all bright and early at 8 tomorrow. Get at least the last bit of today done, and then after my doctor's appointment, depending on how that goes, we will jump right in. No, Mo gets up at 4 a.m. So this is like
Jeez. You have my
late
sleep
for me.
schedule.
After you have like 10 consecutive years of every 2 years a newborn, you just don't sleep. So night, you guys. I will
Right.
be scheduling things up and getting ready to go, and have a good evening. Think good thoughts. Hopefully, keep fingers and toes and eyes crossed that this man gets acquitted, so we can have him on our program. Because I will even learn about toads
Yes.
a little bit. Look, I'm going to
Which
go
ones we
way
can
off the
lick.
rails. I'm going to be like, so seriously, April was okay with a side chick? How
God.
did that happen? Did you have a talk like Giggle McStabby Pants did? Like where
This guy has to be acquitted.
Salvador's gonna be like, no.
This
My-
is going to be the greatest miscarriage of justice since Mark Jensen.
Bye, guys.
Bye.